Hello everyone, and welcome back to VTuber Tabletop. The intro didn't want to work for me, so it looks like future Melon's gonna have to edit in the intro. But that's fine. Welcome everybody to our first episode of Wisdom Check. I'm joined today by Usabeni Yume. Say hi, Usabeni Yume.
It's hello. My name is Usabeni Yume.
Every time, God damn it.
If there's an Australian in the voice chat with me, hello needs to be said as one.
Or yeah, g'day.
Yeah, g'day, mate. How are you?
All right.
Continue on.
What are we discussing today, Yume?
So today we are discussing something that I am still unfamiliar with, but you have some experience in, which is D&D 1.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'm really excited to dive deeper into it to see what the differences are between this and 5e, and potentially see how we can incorporate it into future VTT. I think that'd be really cool.
Well, you do know that I do have a plan to bring in D&D 1 eventually.
I know the viewers don't know. This is the tease,
the secret thing we've got coming. But today we're going to be going over character origins, which is the first part of the Unearthed Arcana that has been released. It's also been released is the what are they called? The expert classes, which are Bard, Ranger, and Rogue. Which I was a bit hesitant when the character options came out, origins came out. There are a couple things I'm not too keen on, but from what I've seen from the expert classes, they look pretty sweet. I'm not gonna lie.
Mm-hmm.
Ranger's good now.
Yeah, and Rangers are good now. I've heard that. But if y'all want to follow along, and I think you can download the PDFs for both of those expert classes and origins from the D&D Beyond website under the D&D 1 playtest. Not sponsored.
But if D&D Beyond, if you want to sponsor us, please feel free.
Yes, we'll just fake it until we make it.
Isn't that what we do
today?
anyway?
D&D Beyond.
We are sponsored, however, today. Yume, you want to plug your books?
Oh yeah. So as you guys know, we run another campaign. Well, we run a campaign called Rerolls, and a few of the characters in there will be having books that we'll be releasing in the future on Amazon. No link yet, but if you want to purchase them on the other website that I have them published on, you can find it on my Twitter. But yeah, look forward to books about Lucy, the character that I play, Bard, Warlock, Paladin, and also a book for Rowan in the near future, played by Yuriza, and then books for the other characters soon to come.
Amazing. I'm very excited to see this one from Dante's. Very excited.
Mm-hmm. It's almost there, I would say. Maybe like 70%.
Awesome. I also am in the process of writing a book, but do not expect to see it anytime soon. This is I'm going to be working on this for a long time, so don't expect anything for a while. I'm actually tempted to talk to you about it, Yume. Maybe get you to help me with some chapters.
Yeah, sounds good. We have George R. Martin II here.
Yeah. Oh my god, yeah, probably. So I guess without further ado, let's dive into Unearthed Arcana 2022 character options. Of course,
yes.
Written by Jeremy Crawford and Christopher Perkins, the kings of D&D. And Ray Winnegar. I'm not familiar with Ray Winnegar. Maybe let me Google him real quick. But if you aren't familiar with Jeremy Crawford and Christopher Perkins, they are the basically the heads of D&D 5th edition when it comes to, or D&D all around, I guess, when it comes to rules and the story direction for the main books. And they are the godfathers of modern D&D. Essentially, they've been around forever. Christopher Perkins, I would die for Christopher Perkins. He's great. If he DM'd the original Acquisitions Incorporated game, and he is he's taken time off that. It's now DM'd by Jeremy Crawford, actually, ironically. They just gave it from one head of D&D to another. So some of their classic games from, you know, the 2014s, 2014 through 2017. I'm a big fan of those games. They did them at the original PAX East and PAX West. So yeah, if you want to check those out, they are really, really good. Not so much for intro D&D, but if you are mildly experienced with D&D, they're fun to play. Ray Winiger is a game designer, so he's just works with... he's the executive producer for Wizards of the Coast D&D. So, big wig.
Very cool. Yeah. I have no idea who they are, but so thank you for the lore.
Christopher Perkins is the king. Love him. So, let's get down to business. In this first character origins, there's obviously character races, character backgrounds, starting languages, feats, and a rules glossary. This is 21 pages, so this might be a bit of a long episode. We'll see how it goes. So, I guess... did you have any... Actually, let's go to the script. Not script, but the outline we have. What is 1D&D?
Yeah, so do you want to start there?
Sure. 1D&D is... actually, let me read out the official thing for 1D&D. I've got it pulled up. So, it is described as the future of D&D with a rules update and expansion. It also encompasses D&D Beyond and a digital D&D experience. So think of like a virtual tabletop like Roll20. So that's what 1D&D will encompass. But basically, 1D&D will take what we love from 5th edition and create an experience that is not only backwards compatible with the adventures and supplements that you enjoy today, but that will evolve the game for years to come. You'll see updates to just about every facet of the game, from player classes to backgrounds, and even how we lay out books and preset game information. Our goal is to improve on everything that has made D&D the best tabletop role-playing game in the world. That's where you come in, blah, blah, blah. So this is basically the Unearthed Arcana, or the pre-release rules, where we get to give feedback on what we think works and what we think doesn't. Now, I don't exactly agree with the idea that this isn't a new edition. This is a new edition. D&D 1 is just a code name, basically, for D&D 5e or 6th edition, depending on how you want to slice it. That's my personal opinion. Other people may disagree with me. But it's basically taking the best bits of 5th edition and taking it in a new direction, adding new rules, changing rules to make it work better and flow better, which I don't think's a bad thing. New editions are not something to be feared, personally.
It's not like you can't play the old edition. So.
Exactly. 5th edition isn't going away. I do like how they're making it backwards compatible. That's pretty cool. I don't know how they're going to accomplish that, since a lot of things are changing. But overall, I think it's a good step. There's a lot of things that have been pretty cool. So yeah, I think that's it. Second off, how is it different from 5e? We're gonna get into that.
Yeah.
But I would say, I want to say half is different, half is the same. I'd say it's 50-50, or maybe like 3/4 is the same as 5th edition. So it's not necessarily all different, but there are a lot of things that have been tweaked. I would call this more of like it's a huge update of tweaks, as opposed to complete changes all around. When we get to spell casting, that's where it's getting overhauled massively, which I think is a good thing. But it is a huge update of tweaks, which I think, is pretty good.
Yeah, as we go through this, one of the things that I actually will try to keep an eye on is to see what their kind of where their future kind of projects to. 'Cause I'm curious on why they felt like they wanted to make these changes from 5e, and I want to see what they kept from 5e. To kind of get an idea of what they're trying to do. Like, are they trying to make it more accessible to people? Are they trying to just redo the system and kind of, do other stuff? So I'm curious, and that's what I'll be keeping an eye on as we read this.
I think there's a lot of things that needed to be changed, even things that were identified at the very beginning of 5th edition. But we will get to them when we get to them. Now, right off the bat, there is one thing that I do wish they will change before this is released. Like before 1D&D 5.5, 6th edition, whatever you want to call it. Before it was released, I really hope that they rename race right here. It's a term that's been used for a long time. It's been used since the beginning of D&D, but obviously the term has not aged very well. And I think the origin, or like a or what was there's a word that's been going around, but heritage is one that I think works a lot better. And I don't necessarily think I don't think it's the greatest fit. I don't think as an idea it really encompasses what it's trying to get at. That's a
it looks like
thing.
It looks like it even says it right there. Ancestry.
Yes.
Might be an even better term.
Ancestry. That's even better. I do hope that they change it to Ancestry before the game is released. That's my personal hope. Most of the language in D&D is pretty fine overall, but I do hope that is changed. That's my one. Basically since I started D&D, I'm like, I really hope they change. So a lot of things have stayed the same. Creature type. Every character and monster in the game has a creature type. I don't know why they're putting that here, because there are very few races in the game which actually have a different creature type than humanoid. And there are some which should be others, but it's like, what Yume, what's a race that has a creature type other than humanoid?
The slime things, right?
Yes, I think they're classes.
I don't remember what they're called.
I don't think they've been released yet though.
Oh, have they not? Oh,
No.
I wasn't sure.
Oh, actually, I think they're in this here. Yeah.
But that's the only one that I can think of. I can't think of anything else.
I think the only ones that aren't are satyrs, which are fae, fairies, which are fae, and there's a couple of others. But there's a couple that are fae and a couple that are humanoid. My personal thing is, I think all player characters should be humanoid, because otherwise it kind of breaks the game a little bit. Because you have hold person, which only affects humanoids, which means if your character's a fae, you completely skip hold person, which I don't think is the greatest idea. I think if you're going to have play characters, I think they should all be the same creature type. That's my thing, because otherwise it gets too hard for internal balance.
I can see that.
Yeah. And size and speed. Lifespan, special traits. And now, this is where I'm happy. Ability score bonuses have moved to the background as opposed to the race or ancestry. This is a change that I particularly like.
Does it have the backgrounds in this thing?
Yes, I believe it
Go
does.
over that? Okay, cool. I'm curious about that.
Because it's one of those things of your ability scores should matter on how you were raised, or like the type of background that you come from as opposed to how you were born. Orc strong, humans get to choose whatever, but like elves fast and wise, like that doesn't really make any sense to me. So I think in the background is a much more solid place for ability score bonuses. And then much of the other things have stayed the same. I do like how language has been moved to background as well. Like now, if you're an elf, you don't just know Elvish. It's kind of one of those things of just because you're born an elf, like maybe you have human parents.
Yeah.
Like you won't know Elvish.
Very true.
So I do like how that's been moved to background as well. Also, you get to choose a feat. Everyone gets a feat at first level.
So each background, a first level feat.
Yes.
That's
new.
Okay, so that's a new thing too. Okay, so we'll have to look at that.
Yes.
Well.
Now there are different feats that you can take at different times. There are first level feats across the board, and then there are feats that are basically 20th level feats that when you hit 20th level in any class, you can take.
That's very interesting.
Yes, it is.
When we get into the feats, because obviously there is some feats in 5e which are almost always taken.
Yeah.
If you're trying to choose a certain place, like Sentinel, what is it, Polearm Master?
Yeah.
Yeah. So having leveled feats can potentially change that. So that's really cool. Interesting.
And equipment. So that's most of it stayed the same. The main differences are feet, feet and ability score increases and language.
Yeah.
So
wow, that's interesting.
We are going to skip over most of the fluff, and we're just going to keep to the stats, I guess. So now we get into the humanoids. So we got humans.
We're going over human traits?
Yep.
Okay. So see, has anything changed under the human traits?
Yes, a few things. So, first of all, creature type's the same. Now, this is interesting. So, now whenever you choose a race, you can choose different creature types. So, for example, you can be a medium-sized human, so 4 to 7 feet tall, or you can be small, which allows you to play a, for example, a human with dwarfism, for example, or that thing, or maybe you're just really short. It's one of those things. It also allows for a thing of maybe you're a human of halfling lineage, maybe you're part halfling, so you're really, really short, but your human traits have manifested more than your halfling. So that's pretty cool.
Does it go over what size effects in this document too? Do you know?
There are a couple things that work a little differently. For example, grappling. So basically you can only grapple things that are the size you are or smaller, I think, or one larger. So basically this kind of will come into effect here, because if you're a large creature, you might not be able to grapple a small creature because they're too small. That might be a thing. We'll get to that in a bit. I haven't read through all of this, fully. So we'll see how that goes. Now the human traits. We've got resourceful, so you gain inspiration whenever you finished a long rest. So basically what this means is you're familiar with bardic inspiration. You are a bard.
Yes.
Basically, whenever you finish a long rest, you just get a d6.
Interesting.
Yeah, which I think is pretty cool.
How? Okay, so obviously campaigns run differently, right? And some might have more long rests than others. And this could just be like, it's not going to be a game-changing trait, but it's just nice to have.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it's a game-changing trait, or like one of those nice-to-have traits?
I think with almost everything depends on the type of campaign you're in.
Yeah.
In a campaign where you're taking lots of long rests, like in my campaigns, it will be better than in someone's campaigns where you're not taking as many long rests and you're taking more short rests.
Okay.
Proficiency in one skill of your choice, that's pretty standard. And then versatile, so you gain the skilled feat or another first level feat. So that's stayed very similar to the current variant human. So variant human has become basically the main human type. But the main thing to look here is first level feats. It doesn't give you access to all of them, just first level ones. So that will also make your So that could be good or it could be bad. It really depends on the build and the campaign, really.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So yeah, when I look at it, it does give me a lot of variant human vibes, and I think that's a good thing because it's just more customization on the player's end that it allows them. So yeah, I don't really have any questions on the human one because it seems fairly straightforward, and I feel like that's usually the goal for the humans is to make them pretty straightforward but customizable, adaptable. So yeah, I think that's very cool. Now that I've played D&D more, I don't know if well, I guess we have to look through the other things so far, but I don't know if I'd play another human.
I think human is kind of the baseline. I find that people who haven't played D&D before play humans, because it's something familiar, it's something easy, and humans aren't supposed to be... They're not crazy, they don't have a lot going on, but they offer a lot of customization, which I think this hits squarely on the head.
Mm-hmm.
So, moving on, we have the Ardling. Now...
Okay, are these the... Is this what the ASMR became?
Yes, with ASMR no more. We now have Ardling.
Okay, interesting.
So, basically, once again, there are 3 celestial legacies. Exalted, so basically, chaotic good, heavenly, lawful good, idyllic, neutral. Now, I got an issue with this. We don't have any Ardlings for evil gods or evil angels. Which again, I thought we learnt this lesson last time. Yeah, it could be an expansion or whatever, but I do think leaving that out is a mistake. There might be one later on, but we'll see. Once again, medium or small. You'll find with basically all of the creature types in this, you'll get the option for medium or small, or in some cases like the Goliath, large or medium, I believe.
Hey, can we look at the suggested animals real quick? What is that referring to?
Where is this?
Under Celestial Legacies, where it says Exalted. I'm a little bit ahead, sorry. Oh wait, never mind. It says the Ardling Celestial Legacy determines the animal it resembles, because it has the head resembling that of an animal.
Oh, actually, is this replacing ASMR?
I don't know.
Let me scroll down a little. If ASMR is still... ASMR's gone.
Oh.
So, yeah, so Ardlings have animal heads. That's pretty cool. That's something new. Give the furries
it's very
play. But no, I think it's a cool idea. It gives me Egyptian god vibes.
Yes, that's what it is.
Like with, Set and Anubis and stuff. So I think that's really cool inspiration to pull from. I do wonder why they're getting rid of ASMR though, because ASMR is relatively popular. So that is odd.
Curious to see if tieflings are in this character origins.
They 100% are. Come on, everyone plays tieflings.
Okay, yeah.
So their special trait is Angelic Flight. As a bonus action, you sprout spectral wings for a moment and fly up to a number of feet equal to your speed, so 30 feet. If you're in the air at the end of your movement, you fall as if nothing is holding you aloft. And you can use this a number of times equal to your bonus action. So as opposed to the ASMR action and then you get to fly bunch, you get to fly for like, a minute? This basically means that you can fly momentarily, but a bunch. I think doing things by proficiency bonus is very useful. It allows you to kind of spread out your uses, and allowing it to be a bonus action for classes that maybe don't have as much bonus action capabilities is really good for action economy. So I think overall this is cool. It does feel a little underpowered compared to the human. Oh no, they get
It
spells.
looks like. Oh yeah, there's more. Yeah, there's that, the Celestial Legacy, and damage resistance.
So resistance to radiant damage, pretty standard, and then a legacy. So this is like Tiefling. So new Tieflings basically choose a legacy. So they get a bunch of spells. Okay, this is less underpowered than what I thought.
Oh look, some of the first level spells, like Thaumaturgy, Light, and Guidance. Guidance, as we know, is amazing. And then third level, Divine Favor, Cure Wounds, Healing Word. So it looks like, I don't know what Divine Favor is actually, but it looks like
I believe it's a default of
spells.
damage.
Interesting.
Lesser Restoration, which is amazing spell. Now what you'll notice here, Lesser Restoration. Oh wait, no, that's the same. Don't mind me. I think all of these have remained. Now, what we will get to, though, is Guidance has been nerfed when we get to spells. It's no longer spammable.
Oh, has it?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So, we'll get to that when we get to that. But it's definitely not a must-take like it has been previously.
Okay. I can dig that.
Another thing, they don't have Dark Vision, which is fun.
I'm actually a fan of that because I feel like almost everyone had Dark Vision.
I agree. Dark Vision is something that needs to be taken away. I believe in new D&D, out of the core races, the only races that don't have Dark Vision are Halflings, Humans, Dragonborn. Everyone else has Dark Vision to some extent. Yeah.
Giving it to everyone kind of made it so like mostly no one has it. Or that it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, it doesn't really
it's just
matter.
so.
Whereas now it does matter. So next up we have my favorite race, Dragonborn.
Yes.
Yeah, dudes. Haha. So, interesting to note here, only one size category, medium. This one I think kind of makes sense because if you want to play a small dragon, you play Kobold. So I think that kind of makes sense to me. I do find it interesting how you can't play smaller than 5 feet, but it is what it is. So as per usual, you get to choose a draconic ancestry. This has stayed pretty much the same. They did rework dragons relatively recently in Fizban's Treasury of Dragons, because they are very bad in the base D&D.
As in, they don't really stand a challenge?
No, they're...
Players?
Arguably, they're one of the worst groups. Like, they're one of the worst creature types, or, like, race options. Arguably. Whereas in, Fizban's Treasury of Dragons, they got a buff. So they got much better... They got a lot of tools. Which is the main thing I think a race should give you is... Oh, anything in D&D is tools. So, interesting here, the breath weapon has been changed to everything as a cone. So, before, depending on the type depending on your ancestor, it would change, because I believe, like, acid, for example, is in a line, not a cone. 15-foot line. Apart from that, everything has stayed the same, except for you can use it a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus.
Was it different before?
Yes.
Was it like a long rest?
It was once per long rest.
Once a long rest?
Which is arguably really bad. So being changed to a proficiency bonus is really, really good. The damage also scales. It scales a little bit. So 1d10 plus your character level. Character level, I think, works really well there. Cool. Because that could get up to a potential 30 damage, potentially. It is giving up an action, but if you are playing a character type where the action... If you're playing a non-martial class, I think that's useful. But if you're a fighter, I think making your action to attack is probably worth it more of the time. But, I think it's opportunistic, I think.
I also think it fits also kind of if you do want to play like that Dragonborn, who very similar to dragons has a dragon breath that gets stronger as you get stronger, I think that's a really cool thing to have.
I agree. So next up, they get a damage resistance, which is the same as their Draconic Ancestry. That's stayed the same. Dark Vision of 60. So this is a change, because Dragonborn didn't have Dark Vision. So they have been given it here, and I think of the contenders, I think they're one of the better ones. Like, dragons being able to see in the dark seems pretty legit.
Yeah.
And this is one of the few races, well, where they just know a language. So they do just understand Draconic, which again is one of the ones which I think makes more sense than others. Like if you're born a Dragonborn, being able to speak Draconic natively makes a lot of sense.
Cool. So what do you think about Dragonborn compared to 5e? Do you like the change?
So interesting. I'm just grabbing Fizzbands right now. I'm just gonna check. So, from what I can tell, because I've got Fizzbands here, at 5th level, they get a secondary breath weapon that has a different effect, such as being able to incapacitate a creature with their breath or knock them back. So it looks like they've lost that ability, but I think their breath weapon has gotten better.
You can use it more times.
You can use it... Nope. You can use it the same. Before it scaled with level, so at 17th level you could do 4d10, which is arguably worse than 1d10 plus character level. Yeah, because the average at 20th level is 20 damage, whereas with this one, it's 20 damage plus a d10. So, I think if you want to go off averages, the new one's better, but they have lost a secondary breath weapon, which I don't know how I feel. But again, all of the stuff in Fizzbands is will be backwards compatible with this, so you could just use the Fizzbands version of the Dragonborn if you want instead.
Very true.
Next up, we've got Dwarves. Size medium. So that's interesting. They haven't downgraded them to small. 4 to 5 feet tall. They
it seems like small is almost like 4 feet and below.
It looks like it's 3 feet or below, because humans.
3 feet or below.
Yeah, because humans, their medium size is 4 to 7 feet. So it looks like if it's below 4 feet, it's small.
Okay.
So they've got dark vision again. Also,
wait, did their speed also go up? Because I see 30 feet. Weren't they like 20 feet
I believe
or something
dwarves
before?
were. I need to go get. I haven't used my player's handbook in forever. All right, I'll be right back. Give me 1 second. I'm just gonna run to my shelf.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I hope you guys are enjoying this commentary and analysis. I'm learning a lot. I've never really looked into in depth for all these classes, so go ahead.
So I'm just. Oh wow! I flicked right to the dwarf page.
Nice.
Yes. So their speed has gotten a boost. They were 25 feet before.
Okay. So that's definitely a buff then.
Yeah. So they've gotten a buff to their move speed. Resistance to poison damage. Which did they have that before?
I think so. I want to say they did.
They had saving throws against poison damage and resistance to poison damage. So yeah, so that stayed the same.
Yep.
Forge wise, this is.
They had Dwarven Toughness before?
No, that is new.
Oh, okay.
So your hit point maximum increases by 1, and it increases by 1 again whenever you gain a level. That's going to be huge for tanks.
And barbarians.
Yes,
yeah.
barbarians and paladins and fighters, I guess. That's going to be huge.
Can you imagine taking, if they have tough,
Oh my.
and if you have barbarian and dwarven toughness? Oh.
Let me check. I'm gonna pull up character origins on another page so I can like look through it.
Because you can build a really beefy boy.
All right. Go right down the bottom. All right, I found a feet. Nope, these are backgrounds. Now I found it. Oh. Oh my god. Tough plus dwarf is going to be insane.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. Especially if they still have like bear totem.
Yeah.
Just imagine like you have so much HP.
So basically, whenever you gain a level,
HP.
Whenever you gain a level after taking tough, and if you take it at first level, that means you're going to have a bonus, and hit point maximum increases by an additional 2 points with the first level tough feat, which means at, like, I'm just going to 20th level, you're going to have, if you have a dwarf with tough, that means you gain an additional 42 health.
That's insane.
That's kind of nutty. That's half a wizard right there. So that's kind of nuts. Not gonna lie.
I have my eye on that Dwarven Toughness. Very interesting.
Force-wise, your created deity, your divine creator gave you an uncanny affinity to work with stone or metal. Gain tool proficiencies with jewelers' tools, mason's tools, smith's tools, or tinker's tools. That stayed pretty much the same. And stone cutting. As a bonus action, you gain tremor sense. That's pretty good.
This one looks really cool.
With a range of 60 feet for 10 minutes. You must be on a stone surface or touching such a surface to use tremor sense. Stone can be natural or work. And you can use it a bunch of times. Yeah. Proficiency bonus. That's really good. That's like... Yes. It obviously depends. If you're playing a pirate campaign, obviously it's not as good. Because you're going to be on the sea all the time. But again, it's the same for everything. I think it's much more niche compared to the other one. And I don't know... As good as Dwarven Toughness is, I don't know if that makes up for the fact... I think it's a bit too niche, personally. I think they need something a bit more general. Something more like all use. But I don't think it's bad. I just think it's a bit too niche, personally. What do you think?
Mm-hmm. I personally just like it, and I don't know. Once again, I don't know if this really affects the game too much, because I don't imagine. I don't know. Would this be something that's used in combat, or would this be something that's used more in like roleplay, investigation, in those settings?
This to me feels more of an investigation kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
It has combat applications. If you're in a dungeon, activating tremor sense for 10 minutes, which by the way, 10 minutes is a long time.
Yeah.
In D&D. 60 feet, 10 minutes, that's huge if you're in a dungeon. Because you can just sense if there are monsters in a next room. Which I think is really good. I think for dungeon crawls, like, you gotta have a dwarf on a dungeon crawl.
Mm-hmm.
That, to me, it's like a must-have.
Mm-hmm.
But, again, I think it's good. I think they could use with another one. Like, another active. But I guess they do already have quite a bit.
I almost feel that, and this could be just like a DM change, right? Where it doesn't necessarily have to be stone, but based on your forge, the forge of the divine creator that you have, it could be like wood, it could be stone, it could be water, maybe. Yeah, I feel like it could be a tremor sense based on what material you're familiar with working with.
I think so, but again, even that's really niche. So I think it's good. I think Dwarven Toughness kind of makes up for it. So yeah, that's dwarves. All right, elves. Oh my gosh, elves were always going to be a lot. Size medium. They don't get a small size, which is interesting. 30 feet. Stayed the same. Again, dark vision. Did elves need dark vision? Probably not. Advantage on
maybe the drow elves. I could see them having dark vision.
Drows?
I don't think necessarily the other. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about the other ones. Then you get Elven Lineage. We'll go through that at the bottom. That's in a second. They're at the bottom. Basically, they get 2 spells. A spell at 3rd level and a spell at 5th level. And you get to choose what spellcasting ability. So before you were kind of locked in. Usually for elves it was intelligence. Now you get to choose, which is good. You're a spellcaster of any kind.
Very good.
Fey Ancestry, you have advantage on saving throws to avoid or end the charm condition, which again, charmed does not happen often. I think it's very situational, especially for player characters. Happens a lot to NPCs, doesn't happen a lot to player characters. Proficiency on perception, and you don't need to sleep. You finish a long rest in 4 hours, which is half. That's stayed the same. So, in terms of normal, most of the elf has stayed exactly the same. So for lineages, we get 3. So drow, high elf, wood elf. So for drow, your dark vision increases to 120 feet, and you learn dancing lights. And then you learn fairy fire at 3rd level, darkness at 5th level. I think this is fine. I don't think this is bad by any means. These are all all of these spells have uses. So I think Drow's a solid option. High elves, they learn Prestidigitation and can replace Prestidigitation with any cantrip from the Arcane spell list whenever they finish a long rest. That's really cool.
Is the Arcane spell list, does that include sorcerers and warlocks? Or is it specifically to...
So there are 3 different spell lists now. There is Divine, Arcane, and Primal. So Primal are Ranger and Druid. Arcane... oh my gosh. Arcane is Wizard, Sorcerer, Warlock. And then Divine are Paladins and Clerics.
Oh, interesting. Do they have that here?
Yes, it's right at the bottom.
Will they cover that? Okay.
So, they get Detect Magic at 3rd level, very good. 3rd level's like a spell to get at that level. And then Misty Step at 5th. Amazing. Both of these, you're going to use them. Also...
Prestidigitation itself is also really good. And the ability to replace it.
Yeah.
Amazing as well.
Amazing. Wood Elf, speed increases to 35 feet. Really good. Druidcraft, it's got its uses. Long Strider, I will need to see if the wording on this has changed. If it stayed the same, I don't know how good it is. Like, how good that is, like, compared to Fairy Fire and Detect Magic. So with Long Strider, I believe that your speed just goes up by 10 feet. For an hour. So it's not bad by any means. I actually used it on, I have actually used it to great effect in some campaigns, but as not in a campaign, I used it in a game as Armesh. Where he was, obviously he's a druid barbarian, but he only had, I think, 2 levels of druid. It was 2 or 6, I can't remember specifically. But because you don't need a concentration on Longstrider, he would cast it on himself right before a fight. So that he would get an extra 10 feet of movement. And because he's a barbarian, he doesn't need to worry about breaking concentration. Because it's not.
I guess that's useful because barbarians get like what 40 feet movement speed, so
yes,
going up to 50
is huge.
Yeah,
you can be anywhere you want, really.
Yeah.
So it's more situational than the other two. It really depends on the build. Pass Without a Trace, amazing. Best out of all 6 of these spells.
Yeah, really good spell.
Really, really, really good. It's useful on a party level. It's a great support spell. I think that's a great option. I think even giving up the less good Longstrider for Pass Without a Trace is pretty solid. I think that's it for Elves. Moving on to my second favorite, Gnomes.
Genomes.
Yes. Oh, whatever.
Oh, wait. Speed. Did their speed increase as well, or were they always?
I believe so.
As well?
Let me have a look. Human and Gnome. Speed 25 feet. Yeah. So they've gone up 5 feet in speed, which is interesting.
Nice.
And here we go, 3 or 4 feet tall. So I think gnomes are actually taller now, funnily enough.
Oh my gosh, I'm looking at their traits. My eyebrows are kind of like, whoa, for the second one.
Yeah, give me 1 sec. I'm gonna. Yeah, lifespan. They've got very long life. Nope, 3 to 4 speed. Feet. They're the same height as they were before. They're just a little bit faster. Dark vision. Gnomes make sense. They live underground.
They always had gnomish cunning.
Yes, they have.
Because this one looks really good.
Yeah,
really?
It's insane. Yeah. This is why
that's insane.
Gnomes are really good as support casters, like a bard or a ironically, they make really good paladins.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, you have great saving throws and you have advantage on those saving throws.
They're great frontline characters or backline. Specifically, bards really benefit from being a gnome because of these saving throws. Gnomish Lineage, this is new. So before you just chose a subrace. Subrace has been kind of combined, so now they're just called lineages. So they're slightly different, a bit like elves. So they get, forest gnomes are the first one. They get minor illusion and speak with animals. And you can do it a number of times equal to proficiency bonus. Which is fine.
Oh, it says you can also use any spell slots you have to cast the spell.
Yes.
Cool.
Before you got to cast it once for free, so now being able to cast it a number of times equal to proficiency bonus. You still have to use spell slots, which I think is not great. I think just being able to expend it like a number of times with the proficiency bonus would be better. Oh wait, no. You can cast it with.
It's like in addition to.
Yeah, so in addition you can use spell slots. Yeah. Oh, that makes it way better. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Speak with animals isn't a great spell though. So.
Yeah.
Forest gnomes, meh. Rock gnomes, mending, prestidigitation. In addition, you can use. You can make a clockwork device, basically.
Oh, interesting.
Okay, so this is interesting. Basically, you can create a little doodad to have like a little effect. Like it can ignite or extinguish fire. Cool. I think it's I think that's.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting.
Gnome tinker.
Is it interesting? Yes. Is it useful? I don't think so. But again, I think
it depends on the campaign.
Yeah.
Right. Because if you have a campaign where, like you're adventuring and you have to keep track of like fires and all that stuff, then having a versatile device such as this and be able to create one, would be useful.
I think it's fine. Yeah, cool. Next up, we got Dante. Got halflings.
Yes, halflings.
Halflings are smaller than gnomes, which is fun. They are 2 to 3 feet tall, and still speed of 30. So they've gotten a speed increase as well.
Interesting.
It looks like they've gotten a buff to lifespan as well. Before I believe it was human, whereas now they've given them like a hobbit lifespan. I'll need to check on that.
Oh.
Not sure if that is just me. Oh no, it was the same in the old D&D. Good. So special traits. Brave. Advantage on saving throws to avoid or end the frightened condition, which I think is cool. Nimbleness, you can move through a space of creature that is a size larger of yours, but you can't end your turn there. That's the same as it was before. Luck, whenever you roll a 1 on a d20 of a d20 test, you can re-roll the die, and you mustn't use the new roll. So that's the same as their old luck ability. Very, very good. It's amazing to be able to re-roll ones. Really useful. And naturally stealthy, they have proficiency in stealth. So I think this is really cool. Obviously, they're inspired by hobbits, and this really makes them feel like hobbits.
Very much so. Have they changed it all? It doesn't really even seem like they changed much.
I think halflings are exactly the same.
Yeah. I'm looking through all these, and they all seem very familiar based on what I've seen from Dante.
It looks like they've gotten rid of the old sub-races, or the old lineages. So there used to be Lightfoot halflings and Stout halfling. Now it's just all one. And yeah, it's basically... halflings are identical, except for speed, which I don't think, honestly, of all the different lineages, I think halflings didn't need to be changed. They're perfect. Alright, moving on. We got Orcs.
Orcs. Okay, I'm curious about this one. Oh, okay. I'm seeing adrenaline rush, and I feel like that's changed, hasn't it?
I think they're taller now, 6 to 7 feet tall. Before they were like 7 was the upper end. It's cool. Speed's the same. Adrenaline rush. You can take the dash action as a bonus action. This is new. When you do so, gain a number of temporary hit points equal to your proficiency bonus.
That sounds
use it a number of times equal.
Really useful.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That makes Orcs amazing.
Yeah, the temporary hit point bonus on top of the dash as a bonus action is really cool. I like that.
Dark vision, obviously, makes sense. Powerful build, you count as a 1 size larger. Now, something interesting here. First of all, these are the grey-skinned orcs, not the green skin. So that's interesting. And it looks like... I think they're doing some retconning in the lore.
Okay. You would know much more about that than that.
Yeah. So I've actually written an essay in university about this. There is a lot of issues with orcs within media, especially moving not so much from Tolkien, but after Tolkien when it was brought to into the modern, basically when it was brought to pop culture, because fantasy obviously started gaining traction in like the 40s and 50s, and was properly underway in the 60s when there was obviously the civil rights movement. And unfortunately, orcs within the psyche of fantasy authors and within the thing were kind of associated with African Americans for a while. That has shifted, moving into the 2000s and stuff. But the kind of image has stayed the same. And it looks like they're trying very hard to drag him away from that. One of the things is like they were born by an evil god who just wanted to kill everyone and they sucked. Whereas now, they're talking about, this is Groomsh, who they're talking about here, who they're calling the One-Eyed God. basically a
Mhm.
unstoppable warrior and powerful leader who armed the orcs to thrive on worlds beset by monsters. So basically, he made them strong to live on worlds beset by monsters, as opposed to
It's really cool.
making this
I like that.
evil race who are just awful because they were made by an evil god.
I think that's cool.
So I
like
think
they need to be. They're strong because they need to be, or else they won't survive.
exactly,
Like
which
that.
I think is way better than them being evil.
Mhm.
So I think that's a good change. You'll also notice that there's no half orcs here. It's just straight up orcs. You couldn't play orcs in the original 2014 D&D. It was only half orcs. And it was also
Really?
problematic because half orcs come around because orcs do a certain thing, which isn't great, to humans.
Uh-huh.
And that's how half orcs
Yeah.
come around. And they've just gotten rid of that, so now you can just play orcs, which is awesome.
That's cool.
so-
I'm really liking what I see on orcs right now. They seem really cool.
Yeah. So yeah. I think that's a good change overall.
Mhm.
That will also really
I'm liking that direction.
Mm.
That's really cool.
It's a cool change. Also, Relentless Endurance.
We also have. Yeah, that stays the same. Right?
Yeah, that's the same. So when you drop to 0 hit points but not killed outright, you can drop to 1 hit point instead. And you can only use that once a long rest, which is really, really good. In combination with Adrenaline Rush, this is perfection.
Yes.
This is
I know.
This is the
I really
baseline.
like this.
This is the baseline for how Ancestry should be in D&D.
Mhm.
All right.
This is
here we
really cool.
go.
I'm imagining Kieran having adrenaline rush
Mm.
and also relentless endurance on top of that. He's already like a quite tanky wizard, so it's even cooler just to see him be more tanky as a wizard.
Yeah,
And then
that's.
I guess the race that everyone loves.
Yep. Time to yeah. It's every bisexual's favorite class, race, tiefling. So, they've once again divided them into 3 legacies, so similar to Elves. Abyssal, Chthonic. So this is new. Don't think we've used the word Chthonic.
Is that related to Cthulhu, I'm guessing?
No. So Chthonic is basically, so you know the Greek gods? So you have the Olympians.
Yes.
You have the Olympians, who are kind of the sky gods, I guess. You got, Zeus and all your Olympians. But then you have your Chthonic gods, who are the basically death gods. So you have Nyx, goddess of night, Hypnos, the god of sleep, Hades, obviously. Basically gods that are not directly tied to the Olympians, but are gods nonetheless. And they're usually of the underworld.
Okay.
So I think this is really cool, really cool direction. And infernal. So they are humanoids. Small and medium, so the same as humans. 30 feet and a 100-year lifespan, which I don't know whether that has been nerfed. Let me check. Because personally, I like to make tieflings longer lived, personally.
It's very interesting. I think it'd be very interesting to be in a campaign where lifespan actually is relevant. Because most times they don't, right? Because usually it doesn't take place over like hundreds of years, but it'd be a really interesting mechanic to have that included.
So it looks like it's around about the same. So dark vision makes sense. They're devils. That's fine. And then your Fiendish Legacy. We'll go to the legacies in a second. You get to choose. They get spells. You get to choose what your spellcasting ability is for them. Amazing. And otherworldly presence. You can cast Thaumaturgy. Cool. Fiendish Legacy. So Abyssal. You have resistance to poison damage, and poison spray. I think that's pretty good overall. Poison isn't a super common damage type though, so still really cool though. They also learn
when it does come into play though. I think it does help though.
It does help. They learn Ray of Sickness and Hold Person. Hold Person's amazing. Ray of Sickness is fine. Chthonic. Resistance to necrotic damage, that's huge. Necrotic damage is a very common damage type. I think it's like 5th or 6th. After, obviously, your 3 like, bludgeoning, slashing, piercing. And then Fire Radiant. I think it's 6th. I think that's pretty good. Chill Touch is also not a bad cantrip. False Life is a pretty good first level spell. Grave Enfeeblement is fine. So overall, pretty good. Infernal, resistance to fire damage.
Going back to poison damage though, do you know if more monsters have poison damage in the upcoming 1D&D?
We don't have any news on monsters.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I could see them putting more. It's kind of like how you mentioned before, where certain conditions should actually do more. Like maybe poison damage will also have the lingering effect of the poison, like taking damage after subsequent turns. So if that's a change that they implement, I could see poison damage resistance being really useful.
Really good, yeah. Especially relevant. And Infernal, resistance to fire damage, that's amazing. I think it's the 4th most common damage type after piercing, bludgeoning, slashing. You also know Firebolt, which is a good cantrip, it's fine. Hellish Rebuke, we've seen it used a million times, very useful.
Yeah.
And Darkness is a bit situational, but not bad.
I feel that Tiefling is more or less the same. I don't see anything really that's new.
No, I think they're pretty much the same. They've just obviously they've created legacies, but apart from that, I think they're pretty much the same.
Yeah, because they've had thaumaturgy before, had dark vision before. There was a little bit more with the variant tieflings, but overall, it looks pretty unchanged to me.
So I guess looking over all of the races, so I believe that's all of them. We're going on to backgrounds now. The standouts for me are Orc.
Same.
Halfling.
The Orcs are badass.
Gnomes. Specifically, like, Gnomes kind of. I think Gnomes are about average. And Dwarves. So I think
your reason for Orcs are probably the same as mine, but
I'm looking at purely from a numbers point of view. From a numbers point of view, Dwarves, Halflings, and Orcs are amazing. From a purely numbers point of view. Because obviously every campaign's different. Some abilities are going to come into play more often than others. For generic campaigns, those 3 are going to be insane. They're going to be awesome. So I would put them in top tier. Wait, should I make should we make a tier list?
A tier list? Sure.
Let's do it.
Go ahead.
Oh my gosh. All right, I'm making one as quickly as I can. Oh, I can't create one. It's fine. I would put them in S tier.
Oh, good.
B tier, I would put Tieflings, Gnomes. Oh, I guess this is A tier. Tieflings, Gnomes, Elves, and Dragon. I think everything else is fine. I'm not going to create. I think up the top, you've got, obviously, the 3 that I've listed, and then below them, everything else is pretty much, like, the same. So I think that's pretty fair. Would you say?
Yeah. I can't say much to balancing, because I still have to... I don't know enough about just D&D and D&D 1 especially. But speaking from someone who has a little over a year in D&D experience, and what catches my eye is, like, for the same reasons you, is the orcs, because of the numbers part, but also even including the lore behind orcs, because I never really even knew what the origin of orcs were, but hearing that, this is just one of those things that appeals to me, is that you're born in a harsh environment, you're given the power to survive in that, and that's why the way you
are. I think that's really cool, the direction they've taken to orcs. I think it doesn't take away from what's been established previously, but it doesn't bring along all the baggage with it. You know what I mean? So I think that's really, really cool. So we're moving on to backgrounds. So background features. You'll get an ability score. So you get to choose increase 1 by 2 and then another by 1. Additionally, you can choose 3 ability scores and increase each of them by 1. That's new.
Ooh, that's cool. Also good too. Yeah, I like that.
Skill proficiencies too. That's cool. A tool proficiency, they don't come up. I think they need to make tool proficiencies more relevant.
Yeah.
I think a weapon breaking thing could be cool. Where, like, if you're you have like a blacksmith tool proficiency, you could fix weapons. That could be cool. You get to choose 1 language from the standard languages and 1 from rare languages. That's cool. So, now we're moving into the sample background. So these are the ones that they've given us to choose from. I believe that you can make custom ones. That they just give you that ability right out of the gate.
Interesting, because wait, I'm looking through it. So each background, whether or not you make it yourself or use a pre-made one, you get the ability score, you get the skill proficiency, tool proficiency, language, and a feat.
Oh yes, and a feat.
You can kind of make your own backgrounds based on however you can kind of, I guess, justify it to the DM, like, hey, this is my background and this is why all of these ability scores kind of fit in, or all of the different parts of it fit in. That's cool.
So I think that's really, really cool. So starting with Acolyte, which, let me go to backgrounds in. This is the first time I picked up my player's handbook in literally years. Useful that they're in alphabetical. Alright, so, Acolyte, previously. So obviously all of the ability scores are new. +2 wisdom, +1 intelligence. I think that's cool. Acolytes are usually, devoted in the service of a temple, so usually a god. Usually you're playing a cleric or something similar. So +2 wisdom, +1 intelligence, pretty standard. The skill proficiencies have stayed the same. Insight, religion. Tool proficiencies are new, so calligrapher's supplies. That makes perfect sense. You're copying, sacred texts, or whatever. Celestial as your language, makes sense. And the suggested feat is Magic Initiate Divine. So I believe Magic Initiate, will be going over the feats at the end, but I'm assuming it's the same as before. But basically you get a cantrip and a first level spell from the Divine spell list. That's pretty much the same as what it was before. So that's stayed pretty much the same. I think it's on theme. It's doing what it's supposed to do. Artisan. +2 intelligence, 1 wisdom. I don't see... 1 charisma. Skill proficiencies, investigation, persuasion. Artisan's tools, gnomish as your language, and the feat crafter. Obviously, we'll have to see what these feats actually do. But I don't see many people using this one. Intelligence, charisma isn't a super common ability score combination. So I don't see people taking this up. Unless they're like a wizard, maybe? Charlatan. This was relatively popular before. +2 charisma, +1 dex. That's pretty useful for most most builds, let's be real. Anything to do with charisma. Please stop me if you have any questions.
I'm reading through it, and I'm seeing how the background itself has really opened up a lot.
Yeah. This opens a lot.
Because this and I'm just kind of relating it to what I know, which is my characters, right? So Lucy could have a background, right? Let's say we use the soldier background, and because of where he was as a soldier, his ability scores could be maybe like +1 to dexterity, +1 to constitution, and +1 to charisma, right? And then his skill proficiencies might be, I don't know, athletics and something else. And it really, I like how they give you the option to almost like tie your backstory, and that's where your stats come from, pretty much.
It makes a lot more sense than from race. Like it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
From what it was before. Where it was previously, that was more like a hangover from the, the earlier editions. But I do like this more of an emphasis on backgrounds. It makes a lot more sense. So criminal, once again, pretty standard for rogues. This is going to be the go-to for rogues. Skill proficiency, sleight of hand, stealth, +2 dex, +1 intelligence, thieves tools, language, thieves can't, and the alert feat. So if alert is the same as it was before, this is going to be the go-to background for rogues. And hi Boomer, we are talking about D&D 1.
Yes, we're studying D&D 1 and analyzing the changes and seeing how they differ from 5e, and also seeing how we can implement it for future stuff.
Cultist, +2 intelligence, +1 charisma. Not particularly useful. Could be cool for a wizard. Arcana religion, disguise kit, and abyssal. And the magic initiate feat. I think this could be a cool for a warlock or for a wizard. Again, I think any background with an emphasis on intelligence is only really going to be used by wizards. It is basically 6th edition. However, we're reading through it at the moment. It looks very solid. I think it improves on 5th edition quite a bit. Entertainer. This is going to be useful. +2 charisma, +1 dex. This is going to be the go-to for basically anyone. This can be used for bards, for warlocks, sorcerers,
paladins, even
paladins. Yeah, potentially for dex-based paladins. I think that's really cool. Musical instrument as your tool proficiency, skill proficiency, acrobatics, performance. Elvish as the language, and the musician feat. So we'll have to see how the musician feat is. I wouldn't imagine it's a great feat, but see how it goes. Farmer, we found Dante. +2 con, +1 wisdom for your ability scores. Animal handling and nature for skill proficiency. Carpenter's tools for tool proficiencies. Halfling is the language, and the tough feat. So very on brand. I think this is going to be really useful for druids, rangers, but I could imagine literally any class taking this. I think this could be really good for
even monks as well.
Monks, yeah, this would be amazing for monks. Fighters, could
on clerics.
Clerics, literally anything could take this and make it work. Obviously, I think for anything really focusing on the spellcasting aspect, maybe not as much, but for anything martial or semi-martial, Farmer's going to be amazing.
Constitution's always great. Wisdom's always great for saving throws as well. So.
Yeah. Super. And the skill proficiencies, they're not great, but I think the feat and the ability scores make up for it. Gladiator. I think this is new. I don't believe we had a Gladiator.
Strength and Charisma.
Strength Charisma, which is pretty cool. Amazing for Paladins. Also,
and
kind
Athletics
of a,
performance, also really great.
I think that's really good for a Paladin, actually. Can you imagine, like, a Paladin having, like, a, you know, coming from a gladiatorial kind of background, and then...
Oath of Entertainment?
Oath of Entertainment.
Are you not entertained?
I think that's really cool.
That actually is really cool. Like a god of revelry, and he's like, damn, look at that guy go in the gladiator arena. Let's give him some powers.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Smith tools make sense. Orc as a language makes sense because of their new background. Well, not background, their new backstory. Savage Attacker Thief. We'll have to see how that kind of goes with everything else. Overall,
is that the one that gives you the ability to roll certain damage rolls?
I believe that was a barbarian ability previously, so they might have taken the barbarian ability and made it a feat, which could be interesting.
Once per turn, when you roll damage for melee weapon attack, you can re-roll the weapon damage dice and use either total.
Is it the feat at the bottom?
Oh no, this is the one in 5. How it is in 5e. I don't know if it's changed.
Well, I guess we'll see when we get to the bottom.
Yep.
Guard background. This is cool. So it makes it a little bit different from obviously soldier. +1 strength, +1 wisdom, athletics perception. This is already very useful. This is a very good spread so far. Gaming set or another tool proficiency. Language Dwarvish and the alert feat. So I think this looks pretty solid.
Oh,
as a background.
That is really good. Alert's great. Perception, probably one of the most, I would say, used.
It's the most used
skill checks.
Easy.
Yeah.
Athletics is useful.
And athletics is great. And then strength, really good. And then wisdom also really good. So yeah. Very nice.
Guide. This is new. So this is like I think this is the old Outlander. Basically, you know, someone who comes from the, you know, travels the countryside. +2 wisdom, +1 dex. This, you know what this sounds like. This is a ranger. That's what this is.
Yeah, it's a ranger class.
Skill proficiencies, stealth, survival. Both stealth is amazing. It's one of the most used skills. Survival also has its place. Cartographer's tools. Yeah, you know, maps. Pretty cool. The giant language and the magic initiate primal feat. So obviously we'll need to see the new magic initiate feat and also the spell list, but that seems pretty useful overall.
Yeah, I like it.
Hermit, +2 wisdom, +1 con. We found our clerics. Skill proficiencies, medicine, religion. Both of them, I'd call them. I think they're mid-tier skills. So they're both useful. Or they've got their place anyways. Herbalism kit, which I really hope that they give tools more of a purpose in this edition. Language Sylvan, and once again, Magic Initiate Primal. So I think that overall, I think it's fine. Laborer, so this is cool. So you've just got like a builder background, which is pretty cool. +2 con, +1 strength. Athletics and survival as their skill proficiencies. Mason's tools as their tool proficiency. Dwarvish language and tough feat.
Wow.
Which is...
Imagine being a laborer dwarf.
Oh, dude, that's... Oh, my God.
You got HP at the wazoo.
At the wazoo, yeah. So that's awesome. Noble. That's cool. +2 con, +1 intelligence. Once again, intelligence isn't the greatest stat to have primary unless you're a wizard. So I think this could be cool for like a charismatic wizard. Or even a warlock. History and persuasion as skill proficiencies. Again, 2 very used skills. Gaming set or another. Draconic language for noble. That seems interesting to me. I would imagine it'd be elvish. But
Yeah, I'm reading the background. It says, was it truly necessary to read all of those ancient historites in their original Draconic? But once again, you can customize. These are just the simple background. So,
and the skilled feat, which is cool. Oh, I believe the skilled feat gives you expertise in a skill proficiency.
Yep.
I believe.
At least in the old one, it gave you proficiency, expertise, and a half ability score.
Yeah. Cool. Pilgrim. +2 wisdom +1 con. This is another cleric must-have. Skill proficiencies, religion, survival. Tool proficiencies, a musical instrument, which is cool. Language, halfling, and feat healer. That could be cool. Obviously, we'll have to see how useful it actually is.
This is the pike background.
Yes, 100%. Sage. Oh yeah. Here's our wizard. +2 intelligence, +1 wisdom, skill proficiencies, arcana, history, tool proficiencies, calligrapher's supplies, language, elvish, feat, magic initiate, arcane. So there's your wizard.
This is the Kieran background.
Yeah, this is
Kieran background.
Sailor, +2 dex, +1 wisdom. I would imagine it would have been +2 dex, +1 strength, personally, for sailor.
Like how they got Tavern Brawler.
Tool proficiencies, navigator's tools, language, primordial, and feat, Tavern Brawler. So I think that's pretty cool. Be useful. We'll obviously need to see if Tavern Brawler has changed. Soldier, here's Lucy. +2 strength, +1 con. Skill proficiency, athletics, intimidation. And gaming set. Again, gaming set appears to be the baseline tool proficiency. Language, goblin, and feat, savage, attacker. So it seems fine.
Very nice.
I think this is good for pretty much anything. Well, anything melee.
Mm-hmm.
Next.
Ooh, the urchin one looks really good.
Yes. +2 dex, +1 wisdom. Skill proficiencies, insight and stealth. Tool proficiency, thieves tools. Language, common sign language. That's awesome. And the lucky feat.
I would take this background for your upcoming campaign.
Be very
I really like how all these things can be used, like insight, stealth, thieves tools, sign language, lucky. All really great in that type of intrigue campaign.
I think this would be amazing for a rogue or especially a monk. This would be awesome for a monk.
Mm-hmm. I would say even blood hunters, because blood hunters can now choose between either intelligence or wisdom.
Oh, that's fun.
So, yeah.
Cool. Alrighty. And that is it for backgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're on to this.
I was gonna say it looks like languages are up next. I don't know if we need to spend too much time on the languages.
No. We'll just see if they've added it. So obviously the languages have been split into 2 categories. We've got standard and rare. So standard, common, which is basically human. Sign language, dwarvish, elvish, giant, gnomish, goblin, half-orc, and orc. Sorry, halfling and orc as your standard languages, and rare languages are abyssal, celestial, deep speech, draconic, druidic, infernal, primordial, sylvan, thieves' cant, and undercommon.
There was one thing that I actually just realized now, which could be very interesting, right? Because common sign language, right? Assuming it's equivalent to the sign languages that we have, how will that affect spells which have verbal components and somatic components? Because let's say you can cast a spell with a verbal spell component using common sign language. If you've ever seen Dune, I guess. Because that could do a lot of things where maybe you're tied up, right? You're gagged and the bad guy has you, but then you cast a verbal spell using common sign language. I wonder if that's a thing now, because I don't remember sign language being a thing in the previous game. So
No, it's completely new.
yeah. So yeah, I'm very curious about that. I think it'd be really cool if they allow them to do that, because it allows you to make characters who don't speak, well, at least not verbally. Yeah, and I feel like that opens up a lot. And once again, kind of going to that representation where there are people who don't speak verbally, and having, a way to still communicate is really nice. So
really cool. Apart from that, I do like how they've split them into standard and rare. Very interesting. It's like having rare language would be like Latin. Like, it's not something that people actively speak, but people might academically be aware of it. So I think that's pretty cool. So we'll move on to feats. So
I'm very excited about this part.
yeah. So parts of a feat. Each feat has a level. To take a feat, your level must equal or exceed the feat's level. This is new. Prerequisite. You have to meet any prerequisite in a feat to take it. If you lose a feat's prerequisite, you can't use the feat until you regain the prerequisite. That's interesting.
Yeah.
And also,
really cool.
some feats are repeatable. You can take them multiple
that's
times.
also okay. I'm intrigued. Very intrigued.
All right, so let's get right into it. So alert, which is a first level feat, no prerequisites and not repeatable. So, initiative proficiency. When you roll initiative, you can add your proficiency bonus to the roll. That's amazing. First of all, that can give you a potential of at 20th level +6 bonus, and at first level it's a +2 bonus, which is huge. Initiative.
And look at this one. Initiative swap.
I'll let you
really caught my eye. Immediately after you roll initiative, you can swap your initiative with the initiative of one willing ally in the same combat. You can't make this swap if you or the allies get incapacitated.
That's really cool.
That is really cool because it allows for a lot of strategy, right? Let's say that you rolled high and you have an assassin rogue, right, who ended up rolling low.
Yeah. You can bring them to the top. Or you have a bard or a support caster who needs to get off his support spells.
Yeah.
Before the battle,
yes.
Before the enemy has a chance to get in there. You can bring them up. Or say you have a cleric whose main job is healing and doing all that stuff. Generally speaking, you want the cleric to go last. So maybe you roll low, the cleric rolls high. So you swap them around. I think that's really good.
I really like this. And I think that it helps because before it was a little bit more a selfish feat, right? Where only certain classes would be like, okay, I'll take this. But now it's like
anyone can take it.
It's a lot more versatile. Yeah, because of the initiative swap.
That's cool. Next up, we have Crafter. No prerequisite, not repeatable. You gain a tool proficiency. You get a 20% discount when buying non-magical items. Nice. That's cool.
Yeah, that is cool. I like that.
Faster crafting. When you craft an item using a tool from which you have tool proficiency, the required crafting time is reduced by 20%. I think this is very niche, but I think it's cool. If you're running a campaign where you're going to be crafting a lot of stuff, this is amazing.
Yeah, I almost imagined having like a merchant character in your party who's like really focused on making money so that people have like really good items. And I could see taking the crafter and be like, oh yeah, you guys go ahead and have your fun, do your adventure. I'll be here crafting items for you guys and making money for you guys.
Yeah. This would be Charm's feat, 100%. I think it's interesting. Healer, prerequisite none, repeatable no. All right, battle medic. If you have a healer's kit, you can expend one use of it and tend to a creature within 5 feet of you as an action. That creature can expend one of its hit dice and then roll the dice. The creature regains a number of hit points equal to the roll plus its proficiency bonus. This makes healer's kits really good. If you have a person with the healer feat, This is really good now. Healing rerolls. Whenever you roll a die to determine the number of hit points you restore with a spell or with this feat's battle medic benefit, you can re-roll the die if it rolls a 1, and you must use the new reroll. That's amazing.
I think that's really good. Yeah, really good.
Also, it doesn't mean you have to have a cleric. If you have a character with a healer feat, there you go. You have your you don't need to have a cleric with cure wounds or find another way around it. Anyone can take this. This is awesome.
Yeah, it's very good.
Next up,
I think that also opens a lot more too, because a lot of the times you're like, oh, there's no healer in this campaign. Oh no, but it's like, hey, someone can take the battle medic feat. Yeah.
Yeah. Next up, we got Lucky, which I wonder if it's changed. Luck points. You have a number of luck points equal to your proficiency bonus. You can spend the points on the benefits below. So you can give yourself advantage immediately after you roll a d20. You can spend one luck roll to give yourself advantage. So interestingly, you can give yourself advantage after you roll, not beforehand. So you can wait and see what the result is before giving yourself advantage. And disadvantage, when a creature rolls a d20 for an attack roll against you, you can spend a luck point to impose disadvantage. This is good. This is just baseline good. What's...
Not really. It seems... Yeah, there's not really much I can say to this other than it's good.
It's good. It's solid. I think every rogue and their mother's going to be taking this, so... Yeah. Okay. So, Magic Initiate. Here we get the first repeatable feat. So, prerequisite none. Repeatable yes, but you must choose a different spell list each time. So, you have learned the basics of a particular magical tradition. Choose one spell list, Arcane, Divine, or Primal. You gain the following benefits related to that choice. You choose 2 cantrips of your choice from the spell list, and choose one first level spell from the spell list. You always have it prepared, and you can cast it once without a spell slot. And you can regain the ability to cast it after a long rest. You can also cast the spell using any spell slots you have. This is amazing. This is really good. I think any spellcaster should take this, and I think a lot of martial classes could really benefit from taking this as well.
It's very true. Yeah.
It's also a cool way to, for example, if you're playing a fighter but want them to have some sort of maybe religious undertone, maybe they're not a paladin, but they're kind of, they're not a paladin or a cleric, but they take their religion seriously. Maybe you can give them Magic Initiate and give them Divine. I think that's a cool way. It opens things up without people having to, commit to a class.
Yeah, and you can choose intelligence, wisdom, or charisma for your spellcasting ability.
Yeah,
so
that's really good. It just makes it more applicable to whatever you're doing. It makes it more customizable. So now we have musician. So this is the one I was wondering how good it would be. So you gain tool proficiency with 3 musical instruments of your choice, and inspiring song. As you finish a short rest or a long rest, you can play a song on a musical instrument which you have tool proficiency, and give inspiration to allies who hear the song. The number of allies you can affect equals the proficiency bonus. That's really good. Is it as good as Lucky, Magic Initiate, or one of the others? No. But I think it's still good. I think it's a cool opportunity. It's a cool feat to take.
Yeah. I would say that this feat benefits the campaigns where short rests and long rests are a lot more common. Yeah. As opposed to ours, which is mostly just long rests. So.
But if you're using more short rests, I think this is a must take. I think actually a musician warlock could be useful if you're in a campaign with lots of short rests. I think a warlock with the musician feat would actually be really good.
I like that. Sold his soul to the devil.
Yep.
And playing the fiddle.
Yeah. So that's really
I like
cool.
that.
Now we have the Savage Attacker feat. You have trained to deal particularly damaging strikes. When you take the attack action and hit a target with a weapon, as a part of that action, you can roll the weapon's damage dice twice and use either roll against the target. You can benefit from this only once per turn. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Especially
they changed it. I'm reading to the old one. It says you can reroll the weapon's damage dice and use either total. But it looks like you can reroll it twice now. And use either roll.
Yeah, so basically when you roll...
You can roll the damage dice twice. So it's not you reroll it twice, it's just you can reroll.
So
okay. I misread it.
I think this is really good if you have a weapon that's... If you have a weapon that is a D8 or below, like a D4, D6, or D8, it's not worth taking Savage Attacker, but if you're a fighter or a barbarian with a D10 or D12 weapon, this is really good. Because being able to roll 2 D12s and take the higher is actually... It skews the average way higher than it would have been previously. So I think Savage Attack is a pretty cool feat overall.
Yeah, I'm liking it. Skilled was a feat that I almost always took because it's just so versatile. But I can see now that it doesn't give you the
expertise,
the half ability score, yeah, and the expertise.
So I think, yes, basically, it's no prerequisite. It is repeatable, and oh my gosh, sorry, I just yawned. You choose 3 skills which you lack proficiency, and you gain proficiency. I think it's fine. I think I think taking it once is good. If you're a bard, if they actually, let me look.
See, one of the things that I want to know, right? Because before, when you got ability score improvements, one of the options was to take that, or if the DM allowed it, to take a feat. So I wonder if these feats are also going to be tied very similarly. Because in that case, fighters, which have a lot of those options, can potentially get a lot of these feats, as opposed to like a wizard who doesn't really get the ASI improvements very much.
Yeah, I think so. I've just checked. Also, thank you for the follow. One ghost.
The D&D one ghost has haunted us.
So this is gonna be amazing on bards. Oh, actually, I think this is amazing on everyone except bard. Scratch that.
Because bard already gets
jack of all trades.
Jack of all trades. Yeah.
So I think for a wizard, taking this once could be useful. I don't think it's really useful on anything else, personally. Maybe a rogue. But I think it's fine.
It could be a prerequisite feat for a second level feat, though.
That is true.
You gotta keep an eye on that. Yeah. Which I don't think they have. I was just scrolling down.
No, so we've only got first level feats so far. They haven't released the other levels feats yet. Next we have Tavern Brawler. So no prerequisite, non-repeatable. So basically you get enhanced unarmed strikes. So you become a strength monk. So whenever you hit with an unarmed strike, you deal damage, bludgeoning damage equal to 1d4 plus strength instead of whatever your strength modifier is. I think this is really good. I think this is a really cool option for this could be game changing. This creates a path for strength monks, whereas that did not exist before. Damage rerolls. Whenever you roll a damage die for your unarmed strike, you can re-roll the die if it rolls a 1. You can do the new roll. That's pretty good. Shove. When you hit a creature with an unarmed strike as part of the attack action on your turn, you can deal damage to the target and also push it 5 feet away. You can only do this once per turn. And furniture as weapon. You can wield furniture as a weapon using the rules of the Great Club for small or medium furniture and the rules of club for tiny furniture. That's really cool.
That's cool.
I think Tavern Brawler, this is actually a legitimate choice now. I don't think before it was necessarily like something you would really choose outside of like very niche scenarios. But Tavern Brawler is actually like, this is very useful. I think barbarians would really benefit furniture as a weapon, I think that's kind of like the meme part of it. Being able to shove, and like punch, I think that's useful.
Yeah, because shoving doesn't knock them prone, right? It just pushes them
away.
Okay.
But you can avoid opportunity attacks that way. Push them 5 feet away and then run.
Oh, very true.
I think it'd be useful for monks as well. Be able to shove them away and then run away. I think there's a lot of opportunity and nuance to this feat. And we've already talked about this one. Tough. Your hit point maximum increases by the amount equal to twice your character level when you gain this feat. Whenever you gain the level thereafter, your hit point maximum increases by an additional 2. So overall, it's amazing. It benefits literally every class. Yeah, super useful.
Okay. I peeked forward a little bit, and I saw some interesting stuff because I know people have been talking about critical hits and stuff.
Yes, they've been changed. So it's now impossible for me as the DM to crit you guys.
Oh, is it really? Why is that? Well, I guess we'll get into it.
Is only for player characters now.
What are your thoughts on that?
I'm never gonna implement this. This is no. If you guys get to crit, so do I. So yeah, so that's my thing. I think apart from that, it's fine. I don't agree with critical hits either. I think just getting 1 extra damage dice, I don't think it's great. And I also think unarmed strike, and if a weapon doesn't have a damage dice, it doesn't do extra damage, I think that's kind of shitty. But I think critical hits is where I would stay with the old 5th edition way and not use this. Oh!
Should we go on to the D20 test first?
Yeah, of course. And welcome.
Rolling a 1 and rolling a 20.
Who's this small streamer? Windham. I'm joking. Hi, Windy. Welcome.
Windham Bosa. Hello.
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 But, D20 tests are just basically what they're calling. They're combining skill checks, saving throws, and attack rolls all into one overarching thing called the D20 test. Basically, they've combined all of these into one. Which I don't really think was necessary.
Yeah. But I don't know how the rules were originally, because
they haven't really
I feel like
changed.
Herald's. So has it always been in the rules as written? Rolling a 1 automatically fails and rolling a 20.
Oh no, that's changed.
Succeeds? Okay.
No. Rolling a natural 20 and a natural 1 were things that were made by the community. There is actually no rules or like in there for crits.
Okay. Because I'm reading it, it says rolling 1 automatically fails regardless of any modifiers to the roll. And then rolling a d20 or rolling a 20, regardless of any modifiers, succeeds. Player gains inspiration. And
now, I don't agree with this either. An automatic success. I think that enables a group of players who would want to try and do something like unrealistic. Like, oh, I'm going to convince the king to give me his kingdom. No, like,
yeah,
I'm going to convince the king to give me his kingdom. Like, no, you're not going to do that. He's the king. Doesn't matter how, if you roll a 20 on a 20-sided dice. I don't like that, particularly. It doesn't allow the DM to set a DC, basically. Like, we can set a DC, but if you roll a 20, it doesn't matter. So, personally, I'm not a fan of that. Because there are some things that are literally impossible. Like, oh, I want to blow up the moon. No, you're not going to blow up the moon. So, personally, I'm not a fan.
That's what I was hoping to do.
But, yeah, overall, I think I'm not a fan, but it really.
Yeah, and I feel like that's one of those things that's just easily changeable based on the DM. So
Yeah.
okay, and so moving on to then critical hits, weapons and unarmed strikes. It seems like they had to include that.
Yeah.
Have a special feature for player characters' critical hits.
Yes. So this also brings up a lot of questions, which I'm also not a fan of. So critical hits only affect weapons and unarmed strikes. So that means spells
But no spells.
can't crit.
Yeah.
Which I don't agree with personally. Like if you can crit on your Eldritch blasts, like I'm not gonna stop a player from doing that. I don't like that personally. So yeah. That's my thing. Also, paladins can't crit on smites. It only affects weapons.
Oh.
So it automatically nerfs paladins, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a double-edged sword. Of I don't really know how I feel. Because on one hand, I think, paladins crit fishing, is not great, but at the same time, if that's what a player wants to do, if they want to crit fish, let them crit fish. Like, I can't say that I've not tried to do that.
I wonder about the spell effect actually. Is instead of adding extra damage, maybe like 20s on spell attacks can add like a condition. Right. So maybe with Eldritch Blast, because it deals force damage, rolling a 20 might reduce the speed of the individual because you've broken his leg or something. I wonder if that could be an addition.
I just think it's I think that adds too many layers. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like an onion. I think the thing they're trying to do is they're trying to limit they're trying to make it as accessible as possible. So if you do that by damage type, that gets like that's a whole page of rules that you now need to know. And I think they're trying to limit that. You know what I mean? So I think just changing it to weapons. This can be fixed by weapons, spell attacks, and unarmed strikes. I think that fixes it. I think that also allows that still nerfs paladins so that they can't crit. And it also, I think as well, limits rogues as well. If you think about it, a 20th level rogue with 10d6 additional sneak attack doubled, that's insane. So basically only doubling the weapon. I think that's a good good thing overall, personally. I think it should include spell attacks.
The thing is though, like going around that route though, like some spells, I don't like disintegrate, I think is like what 10d6.
Yeah.
So like how would you say that differs from the sneak attack ability for rogues though?
You can't use disintegrate every turn.
But even like sneak attack, right? It's not necessarily well, I guess depending what type of rogue, it's not necessarily guaranteed. But I guess it is easier to get than.
Yeah. If you're a swashbuckler rogue, it is literally the easiest thing in the world to get repeatable like sneak attack on every turn. And at 20th, and I'm thinking 20th level here, obviously, which is different to actual D&D, how it functions. But I think it's a lot easier to balance encounters without taking, like, crits, doubled crits into consideration. So, on one hand, it's not as cool, but on the other hand, it makes it, like, it's still a big deal, and it does an extra thing, but it doesn't, change the course of the game. You know what I mean? There's not the chance for somebody to do, like, 200 damage, like, theoretically. So, yeah. And obviously there's going to be those niche cases, like, yeah, what about disintegrate? But, you know, a rogue can do sneak attack every turn potentially, and there are ways of giving them an advantage every turn. So I think it's a good compromise personally. I don't know how I feel about it. Obviously, it needs playtesting, but I'm torn.
So, like, with this change to the critical hits, right? Do you think that balances not having the DM crit?
Yeah. Yeah. I think having it this way, if the DM doesn't crit in this system, it's not a big deal. Having the DM not crit in 5e, that would be insane. That would be literal madness. Because that puts if you know, if you can one shot a boss, right? I should be able to one shot you, right? But that's not fair on the players really, and it's not really fair on me for, you know, creating an encounter if you kill something in 1 turn or 2 turns. Because of a lucky crit. So I kind of like this from that kind of point of view, because I can look at it and go, all right, I know the average damage output of all my players. I'm going to create an encounter where you guys will be challenged, you know, whether you win or not, blah, 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 whatever my feeling is. But, so I kind of do think it's better from
gonna die today.
Balance standpoint. If I cannot kill Dante, I wish I could.
I keep on telling you, you don't have to kill Dante. If you can kill everyone else, then Dante will suffer.
So yeah, well, let's move on from critical hits, because I think they're a bit divisive at the moment, and I don't really. I'm kind of torn. I'm on both sides. So now we're getting into. So this is the rules glossary. So this is kind of, these are in no particular order.
Going through it, has incapacitated changed?
What was that? Sorry.
Because I'm just going through it real quick, and seeing the ones that interest me. Because I've seen Grapple comes up next. Has Grapple changed at all?
Yes, it has. So speed 0, that is the same. Affected attacks, so you have disadvantage on attack rolls. That's the same. It's the next 2 effects which become different. Movable. The grappler can drag or carry you, but the grappler suffers the slowed condition while moving unless you are tiny or 2 or more sizes smaller than the grappler. Before, it was kind of the home-ruled, the homebrew kind of thing of you basically drag them back half speed. So now they've actually made rules for it, which I think is good. And
I'm not familiar with the slowed condition. Is that
that is new?
Okay.
And escape, whilst grappled, you can make a dexterity or strength saving throw against the grappler's escape DC. This is kind of new, kind of not. So yeah, I think that's good. Incapacitated condition, can't take actions or reactions, concentration broken, can't speak, surprise. Yeah, I think this is fine. I think it's kind of the same. They've added surprised. Inspiration. Yeah. Oh no, inspiration just gives you advantage. It doesn't give you a d6 anymore. That's interesting. I think that makes the thing of what was it, the entertainer? What was it?
The musician.
Musician? Oh, that makes it way better.
Yeah.
Giving them an advantage they can use, that's way better than a d6. Apart from that, we're just going to go through. Here's the slowed condition. This is new. You can spend 1 extra foot of movement for every foot that you... They could have just said your movement speed halves. I think this is... I think the wording on this is a bit too much. I think if you just say you move at half speed.
And attack rolls against you have advantage.
Yes.
Disadvantage on dexterity saving.
Yeah. I think this is a cool condition. Definitely interesting. And the rest we're all aware of. So now we're coming to the end. You may?
Wait, quick, going back to slowed. So grapple, It says that the grappler suffers the slowed condition while moving.
Yes. So you move at half speed, attacks roll against you have advantage, and you have disadvantage on dex saving throws.
So, like, let's say on your turn, you're the grappler, you drag someone, and then you stop. Are you still under the slowed condition?
So I think you have to declare whether you're grappling someone. Because grappling someone has its advantages, because you get to stop them from moving and they have disadvantage on attacks. But that puts more of a target on you. Makes it easier for people to attack you.
So as long as you're grappling someone, you technically have the slowed condition on.
Yes.
Okay.
I think that's a good compromise, because before, grappling was like OP as fuck. You grapple someone and you can just go about your daily business. Whereas now, like, there are downsides to grappling, which I think are like in real life. If you're grappling someone, someone's going to come up and punch you.
I feel like this is still good for barbarians, though.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't necessarily affect them as hard.
Yeah, this is really, really good for barbarians, actually. So the spell lists have changed. So this gives us
I do like this. I haven't looked at it very much, but I do like this change where the spell lists aren't tied to a certain class.
I think it works way better. So we've only got cantrips and first level spells here. Arcane spells. I don't think we have. Yeah, we don't have. I think the spells are either staying the same or they will get redone at some point. But we don't have any confirmation on the changes.
I don't have the knowledge just yet.
Unless it's at the bottom. Give me 1 sec. I've gone down to the bottom of the expert classes. Oh, by the way, next episode of Wisdom Check, we're going to have a field day. So many new feats.
Oh, yeah?
So many. We're going to need like
I'm excited.
A 4-hour episode. I think overall, I'm not going to go through every spell on these lists. I think all of them are extremely thematic. I think they all deserve to be on the list. Remember, bards can still learn any of these spells. Well, through they can choose spells from any spell list through magic
I think it's still called Magic Initiate.
No,
now it just has different.
Called something else. It's called.
Is it?
Oh, it's like Arcane something. Arcane Secrets. Something like that.
Arcane Secrets.
Let me just. I'm just flipping through my player's handbook. Magical Secrets.
Magical Secrets.
So they can still choose from any spell list when they get to those levels. So that's great. But overall, I think the spell lists they're great. There is a little bit of overlap here and there, I believe. Or is there not?
Looking through it.
Wow. Cure Wounds is in the Primal and Divine spell list. Okay, there's a tiny bit of overlap, but overall, the lists are very different from each other. Which I like.
I'm focusing especially on the cantrips side. I can see that obviously the arcane part is much higher than the divine primal ones. Interesting.
Overall, everything that's here should be here. I don't have any notes. But overall, what are your first thoughts, Yusuba?
Okay, so starting with the first part, big fan of So in terms of the character races, cool. It doesn't really um stand out to me too much. I do like some of the changes, and like we talked about the orcs, really awesome. What really uh catches my eye about D&D 1 is the backgrounds, because that's where I think that's where, at least for me, is always the part that attracts me, is like the backstory of who the individual is, because the individual is always just more than their ancestry and all that. It's really what have they been through, and having the background tie into your ability score, your skill proficiencies, your tool proficiencies, your language, and your feat. That's like amazing, because it allows you to not only customize your character based on what they've been through, but it also lets you customize what their gameplay is going to be like. So, just to do another example, like with Lucy, like maybe he fits multiple of these simple backgrounds, but that's okay because you can always create your own, right? So maybe Lucy can have like a +2 to charisma, and then a +1 to let's just say dexterity, right? And so those are his ability scores. His skill proficiencies would probably be like persuasion and I don't know, performance, right? Tool proficiency, give him a musical instrument or something, give him a language, and then give him one of the feats, which in this case might be like skilled or something. I haven't really thought about it too much, but yeah. And then you have a background that's maybe not a sample one, but it's the background that you chose, and it really gets you to. It allows you so much, especially with the added feats, and knowing that there's leveled feats and repeatable feats even makes it better. Because it could be that because of your background, right, you have the skilled feat, right, and then maybe there's a higher level feat that just builds upon that. So maybe the next second level skilled feat gives you expertise. So it really encourages like you to build off what is in your background by having, you know, higher leveled feats with prerequisites. But it also lets you be like, okay, my character, you know, this is his background, but he wants to do something new, right? So now he's going to take on this first level feat, and it allows a lot of cool stuff for the player and also the DM, because originally it's like, hey, this level I'm taking Pole Master, and then if you try to link that into the campaign, it's like, okay, one day your character wakes up and he knows how to do stuff with pole arms, right? As opposed to in D1, where let's say Pole Master is like a higher leveled feat, and some of the prerequisites are like certain other feats which require you to kind of build up to it almost, in a sense. So like you're building up to certain higher leveled feats, and it makes you, gives you a sense of progression, I think, having these level feats. So yeah, that's the thing that really stands out to me, are the feats. Just realized what that sounds like. I'll never get away from that, will I?
Oh wait, sorry, you were just so interested in feet, like I just had to zone out for a second, and don't worry.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, I'm enjoying the changes. I think, like, overall, this is really, really solid. I'm enjoying how it's balanced. The internal balance seems to be way better than before. I'm just hoping they can keep it like this.
I'm very excited because I think with the next episode going over expert classes, I think that will be enough starting information to be like, okay, what type of character would be cool to make in D&D 1?
Definitely. And I think next episode, if we have time, hopefully we can go over making a rogue or a ranger. I think a ranger could be cool because we'll get to dip into martial and spellcasting. I think that could be interesting. But I think doing that next time would be great. Cool. I guess any closing notes you may.
No closing notes. I did read a little bit ahead, and there's a section that says what's ahead in the one D&D playtest. So in the months ahead, they're going to revise versions for every class. We're gonna have 48 subclasses.
Yeah, which I believe
including the ones in the next article.
Yes, so I believe that is how many classes are there? 8?
I'm not sure.
I think that's roughly. I think it's 4 classes. 4 or 5 subclasses per class. Also, interestingly, from what I've heard, we're not getting Artificer for D&D 1.
Yeah, I don't think Artificer, because that's the only one, right? Blood Hunter is immersive thing.
Yeah,
so.
it's a critical role thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think everything from the 2014 Player's Handbook says.
Yeah. So, I also think 4 subclasses is a really good medium, because I think in the 2014 Player's Handbook, you only got 2 subclasses. Knowledge of Law and Valor for the Bards. Yep. So you only get 2 subclasses. So I think 4 for this new book is much better, personally. It gives you way more options.
That, yeah, I'm always a big fan of options. And on top of that, it says new and revised spells, new and revised feats, new weapon options for certain classes. I know that's a thing that you've been really wanting to implement, is those forgotten weapons. So that's really cool. This is a new system for creating a home base for your characters.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
I could imagine, for example, the net weapon.
Gladiator.
No, being able to, for example, if you throw a net, it grapples a character. That could be cool. Maybe it doesn't deal any damage, but if it hits, it automatically grapples. That could be fun.
I think that's what it does already. Doesn't
I don't believe so.
See, what does the net do? Larger, smaller creature is restrained until it's freed if it's hit by the net.
Restrained. Oh. Okay. Wow. I should have been using the net. Why haven't I been using a net? Wow.
The net has been forgotten.
Hey guys, use the net. It's actually really good.
Yeah, I think it is a thrown weapon. So if you can use like a net and a spear, I think that'd be cool.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah, and then it says also revised encounter building rules and new and revised monsters. So a lot of stuff to look forward to. I'm excited, especially because I still honestly don't really know the core rules of 5e. I just know what I know. So actually going from the start of a new system, I would say, is great. Excited.
Amazing. Well, that's been all from us here at VTuber Tabletop. Let's go raid. Let's give Hilda a raid.
Let's do it. Cool. Potentially doing the one shot this weekend?
Yes, I'll talk to Hilda about it. Although I would be quite interested in taking a weekend off. So, yeah, we'll talk to Hilda about it. But we'll be back on Saturday with Hilda one shot, or we might not be live. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I'll talk to Hilda, but she seems pretty keen on a one shot. But apart from that, we've been VTuber Tabletop, and we will see you on the other side. Bye, everyone.
Bye.